Hi guys. So some of you may know who Russell is, Rustling Around. I watch him from time to time. I love his style of reading. I love that he's like into this really deep connection, right? So he started doing this deck that he's creating called the Rune Rakers. And I find that very intriguing, very exciting. You know that I've created some of my own decks, but they've been very traditional. This is going to be very non-traditional. I kind of dig on that. So anyway, I just started watching the first video, and he's talking about this, right? And what I'm going to do, I've decided, because he pulled out, right as where I'm at in the video right now, is he just pulled out 6 blank runes, okay? And he is going to kind of discuss them. Well, before I go into his discussion about the rune, I've decided that I'm going to go into my own little delve into it. Mine may not match up with his. He may even think that mine is ridiculous. He may go on his channel and be like, this woman's ridiculous. And maybe I am. But it just intrigued me. My husband used to play with runes a million years ago. And I was joking with my shamanic teacher, and it's starting to fade on my life hand, but on my soul hand, it's not. And it just appeared recently, and I don't know if you can see that, but it's a bind rune, and I did have matching bind runes, and they weren't mirroring each other. So you'd be like, oh, well, that's just the way the veins look. No, they weren't mirroring each other. They were exactly the same on both hands, right? So if you put them together, it was like stamping sort of an energy. And I joked and said, I think at some point my husband may have performed some sort of magic to almost more or less to protect our love, because this was like a bind of love sort of an energy. And my shamanic teacher was like, yeah, pretty much, probably. Okay. So a lot of what I'm seeing here, I believe, just by looking at the images, because I did, draw out the images, the blank images that he was working with. There are quite a few that I feel like that they are bind runes. And so a bind rune is not necessarily like a cast spell or something like that, if you're thinking of binding and witchery, okay? But a bind rune is more of a talisman or a token, okay? And so the very first one that I'm looking at right here, okay, I have no idea what he's going to call it, but the first thing that was shown to me was, I believe that it is in the Light Seer's Tarot. The first thing that came into my head from Spirit was Page of Swords. And Page of Swords in that deck, the image that they showed me from that deck is from one cliff to the next cliff, and a sword, right, crossing them. And she's walking across, and there's, if I remember correctly, and what I'm seeing in my head, there's a book and there's light bulb sort of energy. And so it is about letting go of old paradigms, old ideas, walking into this new life. And I see this as being, okay, I'm going to draw you a picture here, okay, of being kind of like a bind of these two runes of ing and ice, okay? And ing is also seen in other binds There's a bind where it's seen as the lantern rune, and you could kind of see that if you were carrying like this lantern forward. So it could be a little bit about some illumination. Okay. I also wanted to say that, so ice, it's a rune just like ing, where if you flip it, it's the same. It's reflective, right? So the lantern is illumination in the night. So we've got a little bit of that undertone of moon energy and reflection and seeing things differently. And so an example for you of a bind rune, okay? So that you're not continuing when I say bind rune, thinking of like somebody's binding you, okay? Is the symbol for Bluetooth on your phone, right? The Bluetooth little symbol, the logo, that is a bind rune, okay? It's just a symbol, a talisman of many runes put together. You may see them, like he was talking about lagoon, and maybe you would see lagoon many times, okay, to be many waters, okay, lots of ways. So I say think of bind runes as magical connectivity is what came to me. Okay, it's just magical connectivity of runes coming together, okay, to increase the vibration, to change the frequency a little bit. So the first thing I saw with this, like I said, was the Page of Swords. So clarity and courage to walk from one space to another. I also saw ends and beginnings, completion, birth, fertility, Venus. I saw the ice, the cold, the separation, the rejection, but there's also a seeing of Jupiter in this. So there's hope, right? Love and hope in this rune. So Spirit asked me to get out 7 decks, okay, to go through and pull up any information. So tell me about this moon. Like, give me a little emotion here, okay? Yeah, so it is Jupiter, optimistic, upbeat, okay? There is definitely Jupiter energy in this, and we are right now in that beautiful energy of, you know, Jupiter that goes through the 22nd. And I did do some talking about that, so I'm not going to talk about that in this video. You can go back and look at other videos, but we're in that right now. Okay, and there's also a little bit of the chaos, okay? Because we are having to think about, right? Like there's this deep hole. There's this like, they're showing me like this space that goes on forevermore. Okay, it's like time. And how do you get the courage to deal with this chaotic time portal and yet walk across it without getting completely tousled and in disarray? Right? Bottom of the deck says you have to be thoughtful. You have to be in the Venus energy of affectionate, thinking of others, loving on yourself, okay, to get there. So because there's reflection here, because no matter which direction you put this, right, up or down, reversed or upright, it's going to be the same. I'm going to get some of the energy here underlying from the moon. Okay, the Lord of Cups comes out, the King of Cups. And again, I kind of love this, right? Like there is the circle, the moon here. And when the Lord of Cups in this deck crushes it, okay, crushes that energy in, it releases this heartstone, okay? But if you look on here, they're showing me, and I've never been shown this before, but at the very bottom, it's almost like a reflection of the moon at the top. And so they're showing me this as a time loop. Like if you've been watching Loki, right? They have the little machine and they bring them back to the same spot, right? It's a time loop. And so I can see this as being with Venus and Jupiter and the yin and ice, right? Like for some people, this is the time loop. Okay, this is the loop where they, you know, and there's in the middle is the chaos, right? And then it smooths out into the heart. And right, there's almost like you have to get to the other side or you're going to keep looping. You have to get to the other side. Oh, that's bringing up a lot of energy for me. Even for myself, okay? Because when there's energy that needs to be cleared from myself, I get this gag reflex, and I feel that. And I don't think you guys really want to see me gag, right? But we do have bottom of the deck here, okay? Again, we've got that moon, that same moon at the top of this percolating 10 of Cups. Okay, so it's almost like the center of this, the core of this, right, is getting to the point where this opens up and it becomes something that is no longer looped. Okay, you get to the other side of it. So let's see what else Spirit wants to tell us about this Rune Raker symbol. Okay. Temperance, balance, harmony. We've got the zebra. Okay, and again, the zebra, right, is black and white, and yet there is no zebra that is the same. It's like a fingerprint. When we are born, our fingerprints never change, and so you can read the fingerprints and you can actually see somebody's like true soul purpose, like what school did they come from, the school of love, right? The school of understanding, like what is your service, what is your purpose here? And with the zebra, no two zebras are the same. And so part of the balance of this symbol, I feel like, is that no one is going to quite see it the same. And no one going through the process of this symbol is seeing it the same. So if you are seeing this sometimes as being, okay, the two halves of the whole, and the one side mirroring the other, the perception is still going to be different on both sides. Okay, what one sees as black and white may not be what the other sees as black and white. That one, okay, somebody needed to hear that because that is my symbol. Okay, so the balance, the harmony of this symbol. And there we have, okay, the Page of Pentacles. So ideas, discipline. It takes a lot of work to get the courage up and the clarity up, to take that walk, okay, to the other side of this. And it does start with curiosity. It does start with a little bit of that idealism, okay? Yeah, Two of Pentacles at the bottom. Insight, focus, right? Being aligned is the overall goal. I'm going to pull also here now from the Nordic Tarot, but because of course, why not, right? You can see this got me excited. Like I came right in here in my workout clothes because I was like, holy crap, I gotta add to this. And there's the Emperor. Okay, the maturity. And I love that, right? We've got the circle again. And the Emperor here is wearing these chains. And so there is that bind. And the sword on either side of his throne does kind of come through as ice, as well as there is the line going through the center of the circle as ice, and his throne is ice. Okay, and so again, ice, right? He's even sitting on top of what feels like ice, like being this hard emotional energy. And so that's why there's still the loop. That's why it keeps looping until the Emperor gets to the place where the Emperor listens to this gentler messenger, okay, this high priestess energy. Then there is not going to be the maturity needed to come into the completion of this cycle. Because we know emperors fall, okay? And there is that energy of continuing to fall, right? The loop, the loop, the loop. And again, we've got 10 of Cups at the bottom. The ice has to melt into this more joyous energy for this separation to happen, right? 3 of Cups is that it is kind of a divine timing here of, I feel like, falling into the loop, recognizing the love, right? Falling out, starting again. Recognize, falling out, right? It is kind of a loop continuing. And I love this, right? Completion. The snake. Completing the cycle. The serpent. The south. Right? The serpent on the rock. Good. Golly. Spirit. The serpent laying on the rock. Rigid. Hard as ice. Okay? Until the serpent laying on that rock warms from the ice. There cannot be the completion of the cycle. Spirit's like, yeah, you don't even need to pull any more cards from that deck. You just need to look at the back of that deck, and there you go. Right? The serpent, the hard serpent on the rock. And strength, okay? The strength of Jupiter and Venus behind this. Okay? Love and hope. And knowing, look at the beads, like this cycle has gone on and on and on and on and on and on. Time and time and time looped. But knowing that eventually, right, the strength comes and the masculine energy within does break the loop and get to the other side. Okay? 4 of Swords. Right? It's all perception. It's all what we imagine. When you look at the clouds, what you see, you can push onto someone else and they'll be like, oh yeah, right? Like, I see that dog smiling right there. But if I didn't tell you there was a dog smiling right there, what else would you see? Okay, so again, we go back to the zebra. There is this feeling that, yeah, 10 of Wands, right? Completion, getting to the other side of this is about getting into your own own ideology. Oh, Spirit. Your own ideas, okay? They're saying ideas. I was going to say ideology, but they were saying ideas and theology. That's why I couldn't say it. So it's your own inner spirituality, your own inner knowing of the soul. What else do we want to add to this, right? Again, Four of Swords. They really want to talk about the rigidity of, okay, this person sitting here in this hard energy of there is no life, right? This tree is dead. I cannot create anew. I cannot create the circle. Again, we have that high priestess energy, that messenger sitting there. And we've got the emperor spirit sitting behind here. There is an energy of needing to listen to the spirits in this card, to listen to the spirits to get to the other side, to have that courage and that clarity. And to quit looking at all of the other options. Seven of Tides, Seven of Cups came out in reverse, okay? And it's all snakes, right? It's all snakes. But it's also, you've got all those bubbles, those water bubbles, right? Coming up from the ice, right? That's the strength. See, it's rising to the top in the reverse. That's the strength, okay? To end this time loop, the strength is to see that there is no other option. As long as you're going through the options, through the options, through the options, and not onto your own path, you will be looking at this in that very rigid, hard as a rock staff snake energy, right? Nine of Tides at the bottom. It's the clarity of what am I really wishing for out of this? What brings me the energy of breaking through the loop? Okay, we're going to pull out one more. They asked me to bring out my animal totem deck. So we'll bring out one more. Oh, and it just fell right out. I love this. The sea otter, right? Like coming out. This is the transformation. And it's coming out of the sea. Like the sea is thawing. The ocean, the ice is thawing. The salmon here following home. And also with the sea otter, I'm seeing, right, the, I wrote about it. I'm writing these channeled stories for each of the signs, and I'll be releasing them next month. But there is the energy of, right, the, what are they called now? Now I can't think of it. But they come out of the sea, and they are like sea otters, right? And they leave behind their skins, and they come into the land as women, and they entice the men, and they have their fun, and then they go back to the sea. And there's the story of the one who takes her seal coat and doesn't let her leave and has children with her, and eventually she does escape back into the sea. But for the transformation, right, to take part, it is part of releasing the illusion, okay? And for some people, it's of not trying to trap someone else in this loop with you, because maybe you're not meant to be there. But until the sea thaws and you work through, like, the storyline, and get your own true perception and get out of the Seven of Cups energy into knowing what your purpose is, what your place is, where you are moving in all of this, you won't really understand where you're truly going. And they want me to, so this is an 18, okay, and I never learned runes, so please, or even tarot. I just am intuitive, so please understand that. So yeah, I love that the 18 is the moon. Okay, the moon keeps coming into this. That's what I thought it was, but I wanted to make sure, right? And then if you break it down to a 9, it is, to me, 9 is talking about self, the work on self. And, oh, that's what they're called, selkies, right? That's what the women that come out of the sea are called. It all comes full circle, right? And recognizing where your true home is. Okay? And so I almost see this as like she's done everything, she's returning home, and she's understanding. And this is perhaps like her emperor, okay? Her lover, her true companion. And she's coming back into the water. Like, I've risen up, I'm leaving the land. I now see where I belong. I now see the mischief I created, right? A little more Loki there. The mischief I created was lessons. But I've learned my lessons and I know where my true home is. And I feel like that's that clarity that you get from this rune. So, again, maybe way out there, far away from anything that Russell sees in all of this. And I'm not trying to do anything other than the spirit guides and my inner soul just lit up with this project. And so I'm going to go listen to what he has to say about this particular rune. But that's what came to me. All right, guys. And I will, I'll do the other runes that he drew up and see what comes to me. And I do want to recommend, if you're intrigued by the work that he's doing and you're looking at understanding kind of runes from a fluffier tarot sort of an energy, okay, this is a great book that my husband has that I think you would enjoy. Okay. And I am 50% Scandinavian genetically. Most of that is Swedish. And so that might be my ancestors have just been calling into this. Because again, I noticed the runes on my hands, and then Russell started talking about runes, and I don't get a chance to listen to him as often as I would like because I'm so busy. But he is one of those readers that I just love his whole spirit. And when he laughs, oh my gosh, like your whole like being just lights up, right? So if you haven't watched his readings, I'm of course going to be tagging him in this, and definitely go subscribe. All right. Much love, guys. Bye.